guess I was always interested in just how far an artist in a studio factory could get, how much effect I could have on the built environment as well as within the gallery. So this is an example of Exoskeleton. And as you can see, I've used ready-made pieces of machinery that are already closely associated with the body, combined with more basic materials to make a proposition about the prostheticized body. So this is, to me, a body building. It's an exoskeleton structure which questions, is it, the machine or is it flesh? The interesting thing is, at the scale of the body, if we question where the body begins, we start to think of ourselves more in tune with technologies, not literally like cyborgs, but it's a better understanding of where we stand in relation to architecture. At the next scale, I engage with architecture itself and public space, and I attach artworks to buildings in a process of transformation. So the site of the work is architecture, the body of the work is architecture, and I'm trying to transform it. I call that work Parasite because the works are parasitic. The most interesting things that happen to architecture are what we kind of add to them, the inventions that humanize the structure. It's kind of fitting that I'm pulling down clothing as well as looking at these parasitic structures, because that's really what the work's all about, how you make architecture work. This is one of my bridges in Leichhardt in Sydney, and I consider bridges the parasite sculptures of public space. And they do help to make public space more porous, because in this instance, they're taking people from this side of the freeway to the other side of the freeway. And they're linked with my freeway work. I've designed 18 freeways, the sound walls, the various architectural prosthetics attached to those freeways in order to make them work better in relation to public space. The public tend to think of public space as their plazas or parks or lovely little beachy spots by the harbour. In actual fact, public space is the complete reverse envelope of the city. So what isn't building is public space. And we need to negotiate all of these spaces, even if they're quite abject, such as these spaces under freeways. These all have to be dealt with, all have to be claimed by the public. And my philosophy is not only to claim these sorts of spaces and make them better, and make the road spaces better, but to take public space right back inside architecture itself. Porosity Research moves further than any research in terms of understanding and classifying public space, because it believes, or I believe, that there are types of public space within these private buildings. And these types of public spaces, which relate to the public space outside, are integral parts of our journey through the city. If we close buildings down at the street, as the age of terror is sort of dictating, then we are limiting the experience of the city and the degree to which we can interact with each other. During the process of doing this research, we went into possibly 30 buildings within a range of zones, and simply went up and down lifts and found the floors at which we could sort of exit. What I'm looking for is some sort of public convenience, if any, to occupy. If not, it's an interesting place to be in the city. All of these journeys were mapped, catalogued, times were taken, and over a period of 3 years I built an index system which could measure how porous a building is. These sort of secretions out of buildings that come from the research link up with other buildings and sort of hold hands, and they simply start to tell us where it is that we might need to do something in the three-dimensional transformation of public space. So here you see a model that finds and represents in blue all the spaces that might be developed as parasitic forms. And in this case, onto George Street, you see a little blue hub here, which actually, on this more detailed model here, becomes the possibility of a new monorail station. If we are to survive another 100 years in this city, we need massive and increased systems of movement of people above the ground. The ground plane is too heavily occupied. We need multiple ground planes. We need public space to be infiltrating at a range of levels, and not in a polite way. The great thing about the monorail is that it's so impolite. It charges through buildings, above cars, cut through corners. It does all the things that a parasite should do. It is the architecture of the future.